It takes a lot of people to play a basketball game, and that includes the men and women in the striped shirts, the referees.
Referee Whitney is one of those referees. He's been on the job for an amazing 46 years. We feature him this week in our Spotlight segment. Referee Whitney grew up in Stillman Valley, and he still lives there.
I did all the sports here in Stillman Valley, and I went to Western Illinois on a football scholarship.
So staying involved in sports by becoming an official was a natural transition.
I had a couple buddies I worked with at Sunstrand that had a football crew that needed another player or another ref, so I joined them, and that was in September of '73, and in October I was also registered for basketball. So that was my start.
Whitney estimates he has worked more than 4,900 high school basketball games since 1973. He has around 30 little black date books that list the games he's worked and the miles he's traveled. As you might expect, the sport and the players have changed a little over the years.
It's a much faster game, than it was back then, and kids are stronger and jump higher and move quicker and carry the ball more. They're not quite like the NBA or anything like that, but they think they can get away with things like that.
One thing that hasn't changed, fans who sometimes disagree with his calls, and those occasional fans who go too far in berating the officials.
I had an incident down south where I had to take a fan out, and the coach or the athletic director says, I can't do that because he's the president of the bank and he's the president of the school board. And I said, well, I don't care who he is, we're not going to play on if he continues. Well, 2 minutes later, he yelled, and I pitched him out. And he wasn't going to leave, and I said, well, then you'll forfeit the game. The game's over. Finally, he left, and the crowd applauded. They were glad to see him go. They knock on the door after the game's over, and it's his son, who's the star of the basketball team, and he scored 28 points that night, and he thanked me for throwing his dad out. He said somebody should have done that a long time ago.
Whitney says he's more tolerant of coaches who complain about calls, especially experienced coaches.
I'll give him a stop sign, which we can do now, and give a warning to the book.
Whitney has worked 8 super sectional championship games in his career, and he worked the boys' state tournament 3 straight years in the late 90s. 3 state tournaments are the most a referee is allowed to work in Illinois. Surprisingly, those state tournaments weren't his favorite games.
To me, the number one game, or the best games, are those 8 super sectionals that I've had, because then it's winner goes on, loser goes home, and I again focus on smaller schools, and the gyms are just packed, wall to wall.
Whitney wears an IHSA officials patch on one sleeve and the United States flag on the other.
It's just a tribute to our servicemen and women.
As you might expect, 46 years of running up and down courts, keeping up with teenagers, can take a toll on the body.
In 2013, it was like, okay, am I going to continue refereeing, because my knees were hurting me so bad. They were just, I was bull-legged, I was in pain every night.
So he had both knees replaced that year.
It's been a blessing. I can now run again, I feel good, I have no pains at all.
Thank goodness Whitney and other veteran officials keep at it, because there's a severe shortage of officials in Illinois, and that shortage is becoming a greater problem every year.
I looked up the numbers, and it looks like in Rockford area, 15 years certified, top level, there's only 63 officials. In the Rockford area with 5 or more years, which is top level, there's 120. That's not a lot of referees. I mean, every little school around here needs at least 6 referees every Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. Not very many people do this for the money, because it's $65 for a game. So I think the reward is going in the locker room afterwards and going to your partner that says, we did a good job. We had no impact on the results of that game. And you can do that 3 or 4 nights a week, and it's pretty rewarding.
How many more games are in your future? How many more years of this are in your future?
I'd like to go at least 3 or 4 more years. Maybe more, I don't know. As long as I can keep up, as long as I can, position myself to do a good job, I'll keep reffing.
It's incredible. He's worked almost 5,000 games.
That's a lot of mileage, both on his car and his legs. Now, just a reminder here, fans, with all these intense, emotional tournament games that are happening and will be happening in the coming weeks, go easy on the refs. These men and women are trying their best, and if you get a chance, thank them for what they do, because without them, there wouldn't be any games. And if you're not happy with the officials, well, then contact the IHSA and become one yourself.
Yeah, that's some pretty good advice there.